Hello and welcome to the Merit Scholarship Deep Dive webinar. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm Wendy Nelson, and we will go ahead and get started. If at any time you have any issues seeing me or please let me know. You can type in the chat box in the lower left-hand corner. And also, if at any time you have any questions, please go ahead and type those in the chat box. I will stop periodically to check for questions and answer those. So this is take 2 on the Merit Scholarship Deep Dive, because when I did it last week, Tuesday, my recording didn't work, but the light is definitely blinking tonight. I have plenty of space and the recording is working, so we are good to go. All right, so I want to start by telling you a little more about me. You aren't familiar with me or haven't been on one of my webinars before. As I said, I'm Wendy Nelson. I have 3 girls and a husband. 2 of my girls are in college. Actually, the one on the left is in graduate school. The one on the right is in undergrad. She has 1 year left in her towards her undergrad degree, and my one in the middle is going to be a senior in high school this fall. So we will talk a little more about them as we go along. Looks like my signal is fading a little bit right now, so please let me know if you have trouble hearing me or seeing me. So by trade, I'm an IT manager with a background in business analysis and project management. When my oldest was a sophomore in high school, that's when I really started spending lots of time finding potential colleges and potential scholarships for her. We'll talk a little more about that. In 2012, I started MyKidsCollegeChoice.com. So at that point, she was headed into her senior year of high school, and I was really looking for just a way to blog about our experience with the college search process. And then it kind of led to other things from there. So I discovered that there were great merit scholarships out there. And specifically, I discovered lots of full ride and full tuition scholarships. There were a few sites online that had that information listed, but they weren't kept up to date. They weren't complete. I made it a mission of mine to compile all the scholarships into one spreadsheet, and that was the full scholarship list, which I started providing on my website in January of 2014. And then that led to me wanting to compile a listing of all merit scholarships across all colleges in the United States, not just full ride and full tuition scholarships. So in late 2015, I started working on meritscholarship.list.com. That's a site that accesses a database that I have built of almost 12,000 merit-based scholarships from colleges across the United States. That was a huge project, much bigger than I ever anticipated going in. So I have a background in business analysis and project management. What that really means is I like to analyze and organize everything. So those traits have definitely served me well in the college search process. Okay, whoop, 1 too far. Got a little click happy there, sorry. A little more about our college search journey. So when I first started looking sophomore year of my oldest daughter's high school, sorry, slides are bouncing around, hit them to stop doing that. There we go. Okay, I went to an event at the high school, got a pamphlet to go try FAFSA forecast to estimate our expected family contribution. I came home, I ran the numbers, and I panicked over our expected family contribution because I did not realize how much college cost. It had inflated so much from when my husband and I were in college many, many years ago. So that's when I really started looking for options to make it affordable. I figured there has to be some way to get out of having to pay this number that the government says we're going to have to pay per year. So I spent a lot of time researching different things, and I really felt this struggle to balance a desire for a great school for her because she was a great student against something that was affordable. And I think a lot of parents go through that. I see a lot of people struggling with colleges that they really want to send their student to, but they're very expensive. So merit scholarships, merit aid, have really been a great deal for our families. So my oldest daughter received a half tuition merit scholarship to a top 5 regional university that had a great honors college. So I talked a little bit about that, needing that balance between a great school and something that was affordable. The honors college really helped us with that because it raised the bar, raised the level. The students that were in the honors college were very exposed to a writing intensive program, thinking intensive, really giving that academic rigor that she wasn't always getting in her basic classes, some of those foundational classes that she needed to take at the school. She was also able to secure $5,000 in local private scholarships going into her freshman year of college. And then while she was in college, the other 3 years, another $5,500 in local private scholarships. And now she is currently getting her master's degree on a full tuition merit scholarship that also includes a full cost of living stipend. So basically, the school is paying her to go there, which is awesome. My middle daughter, not quite the same level of ACT score and GPA, strong, but not quite as high. She is attending our highly regarded flagship state school. So by staying in state, she is getting lower tuition to begin with, and that public tuition instead of looking at private schools. So she went into her freshman year with $7,000 in local private scholarships. That covered almost half of the yearly tuition that first year. And then her sophomore year, she was able to get another $1,500 in a private scholarship. Plus, on top of that, she will be done in 3 years instead of 4. So she's saving us a whole year of college tuition. And my youngest daughter, not exactly merit aid, a different type of scholarship. She's a verbally committed Division I volleyball recruit getting a full ride plus scholarship. So we're very excited about that. We will not talk about athletic scholarships here tonight as part of the merit aid. I think it's a little different. I guess you could say athletics is a type of merit, but not really what I'm focused on here. So we are going to define merit aid, talk about the sources, talk about the types of merit aid, how to increase your students' chances, and then I will do a recap of some tools at the end, both free tools and some low-cost tools that I have found to be beneficial to use. I will remind you again that you can type a question in the chat box at any time that you have one, and I will stop periodically to answer those. So first, what are merit scholarships? Well, they're really scholarships based on a student's merit and not on financial need. Many of these are offered by colleges themselves, and they offer those as tuition discounts. The colleges themselves are the biggest source of scholarship money out there. And merit can relate to more than just test scores and GPA. Those are the most common ones, but there are also things like leadership, service, character, talent, and more. And we will touch on those more in depth later. Let's start with the sources of merit scholarships. We're going to look at 3, and they're really the 3 main sources: states, private sources, including foundations, businesses, clubs, and other organizations, and then colleges. So what do you need to know about state merit scholarships? Well, they can vary from hundreds of dollars up to a full ride. It really depends on the state and what they are able to offer. These scholarships often depend on the state's budget. Many states do use their lottery proceeds, these scholarships. These scholarships may have a component that is matched by the college. So certain colleges within that state may say, okay, if you get this scholarship from the state, we will match it and give you an equivalent amount or a specific amount on top of that. And the state scholarships may also require FAFSA filing, even if they're based on merit. Sometimes the state just wants you to file that FAFSA form, free application for federal student aid. In my earlier version of this webinar, somebody wanted to know, are state scholarships only for in-state students? Not always. So most of the time, the state scholarships are reserved for students who live in those states. However, I have seen some that are also offered to out-of-state students attending a college in that state. How do you find state merit aid? Well, your state should have a website. You may have to search around for it. So the third bullet is going to give you a great place to go to avoid having to search around for that website. Public universities may list these state scholarships under financial aid on their sites. So that's another place to find them. But what I want to show you now is the National Association of Student Financial Aid Administrators site. Acronym would be NASFA. So we're going to go over to my desktop and I will pull up this site. This is a great site. So this shows state financial aid programs. What you want is over here on the left, financial aid in your state, and there are actually two things. We're going to look at the state financial aid programs, but this site also has state regional tuition exchanges. So those would be where a school is offering discounted out-of-state tuition for students from another state through some type of tuition exchange or tuition reciprocity agreement. So definitely check that out as well. State financial aid programs, what you want to do is hit that and then go to the map. We will look at a couple states. We'll look at Georgia. I know they have some good ones. So when I hit Georgia on the map, then we will wait for the site to load, and it will take me to a state-sponsored Georgia site that will list out those scholarship opportunities and other aid opportunities. The site is loading a little bit slow. So I'm going to go back and just hit another state just so we can keep that moving. We'll go with Tennessee. Oh, it looks like Tennessee is going to load a little faster for us. Here it goes. Sorry for the wait time. Good opportunity to type in a question if you have one. Here we go. Okay, so here we've got the Tennessee site. It talks about money for college. Which will be a link. And it appears the site is still loading. All right, the technical difficulty. That's the worst thing about webinars is when you run into these slow systems like this. It makes it very hard to keep moving. All right. It is not wanting to go. All right, sorry, we are jumping around, it looks like, past the correct page. It is not going to cooperate. So what I would say is just out there, find your state, click on your state. It will take you to any of the programs that are available. It also has need-based programs out there, and anything else that's related to college tuition in your state. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't able to get the site working. So let's move to private merit aid. Things to know about private merit aid. Well, there are large nationally or internationally advertised scholarships out there. Those are very competitive. It's going to be very hard for your student to win one of those because there's so much competition. And it's really about the law of averages with private merit aid, meaning the more you up, the larger your chance of winning one of those. I've heard it said that you need to apply to 10 in order to win one. I think that's just a rough average because that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win one. Okay, I do have a question. Buddy wants to know how to get to that site that I was just on. Let's go back because I think the Georgia page actually loaded for us. So let me go back up to that slide. All right, here's the link, and I will send out a page with all the links after the webinar so you can have that. But it is, if you Google NAS, you should be able to get there. The GeorgiaFutures.org is the site that it was taking me to for Georgia. There is a scholarship program and some other ones that are loading here. Georgia's HOPE program provides merit-based scholarships for eligible in-state students. Okay, let me show you that. Right here, Hope and Zell Miller. So this is a great site. Most of the other states have similar sites where they go into all those different programs that are available through the state. Okay, so let's go back to private scholarships. Local private scholarships are going to be the ones that are easiest to win. So those could be just for your town or city. Those could be for your county, for an area, for your state. Anything that's a smaller going to be much easier to win. Really, it's about a time investment with private merit aid. Your student needs to take the time to find those scholarships and apply. Do the application, fill it out completely, make sure to follow all the directions. Private scholarships are usually one-time awards and not renewable. And there are private scholarships that are available while the student is in college as well. That was in keeping with what I told you about my own kids winning scholarships while they were in college. Usually those are the private, not the private, they're all the private. They're the local ones that are easiest to win while in college, although there are some large national, international scholarship programs available to current college students. And you may be able to reapply for the same scholarship each year. That is actually the case with my oldest daughter. She won the same scholarship through the Rotary Foundation 3 years in a row. Right. How do you find private merit aid? Well, your high school counseling office should have a list of private scholarships available. Often they focus mostly on those local ones, but I have seen, at least in our community, the larger ones are on there as well. Also, look in the local newspaper. A lot of times those organizations will advertise or put a press release in the local newspaper so that they can get more applicants. Go to the organization websites. I'll talk about some of those organizations. Lions Club, Rotary, Knights of Columbus, you name it. There are many more out there. I think I have some more listed on the next slide. Do a Google search. That has been found to be a good way to find scholarships. So say you're looking for something specific. Scholarships for tall people, scholarships for redheads, scholarships for rowers, whatever. Try Google searching that. And you can find many partial lists online. The college-related sites will have lists of scholarships. Pinterest has a lot of lists of scholarships, but if you really want a complete site, the one that I always recommend is CapEx. You do need to beware that they're going to send you a lot of emails, so I would recommend setting up a specific email address for your student to use for scholarship searches and maybe even scholarship applications, so that you don't bombarded with all of those emails in a regular email address. But CapEx will be applicants are expected for a specific scholarship. You can organize them in a date order. It's easy to search. It's a kind of a user-friendly website. That's why that's the one I usually recommend. Some examples. I listed two of the major ones here. The Stamps Foundation has partnered with 42 colleges offering scholarships that range up to Full Ride Plus from those colleges. And these are completely merit-based, need-based components. So those 42 colleges are mostly very high-ranking, selective schools, but a great scholarship foundation, as well as the Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation. Now, they offer 150 $20,000 scholarships each year. Those are going to be hard to win, too, just because it's a small amount and it's a large, widely known scholarship. But then they also have two different programs that apply to community college students, current students in community college. Here are some more of those examples of local scholarships: Lions, Optimists, Women's Club, PEO, which is a women's organization, VFW, Kiwanis, you name it, whatever organizations or clubs are active in your area, check for scholarships through those. All right. As I mentioned before, the largest source of merit-based aid is the colleges themselves, and this is also referred to as institutional merit aid, or sometimes college-sponsored merit aid. There are many different names. They all mean the same thing, that it's basically the college offering that merit scholarship to attract students. All right, so amounts for those college-sponsored merit scholarships will range from a few $100s up to a Full Ride Plus. By plus, I mean, so Full Ride, I consider tuition plus room and board, and the plus is something else on top of that. Maybe it's a stipend. Maybe it's they throw in money to pay for your books. Maybe study abroad. Maybe a laptop. There's all kinds of variations. These school-sponsored merit scholarships can be for 1 year only or renewable. Most of the ones out there are renewable. The renewable ones may require a minimum GPA, so make sure you understand that. Make sure your student knows the renewal requirements. That happened with my oldest daughter with the half tuition scholarship I talked about that she received. She did not have a minimum GPA attached to that scholarship, and it was a good thing because her very first semester, she took a class that was extremely difficult, something she had never studied before, and she really struggled. And when she first told me what she thought her grade was going to be for the semester, I said, oh my gosh, we better check your scholarship and make sure that that's not tied to your GPA. And thank goodness it wasn't, because sometimes they will require like a 3.5 or maybe a 3. 3.0, just so that the student is maintaining a high GPA to keep the scholarship. Those institutional merit scholarships may be automatic or they may be competitive. We will talk about those two terms shortly. And as I said before, they're used as a tuition discount, really to attract students. And if you find one that is a stated amount per year, so it says the scholarship is $20,000 per year or $25,000, then that amount is not going to increase as tuition increases. Private colleges especially tend to increase tuition by about 5% per year on average. So those amount scholarships would not increase with the tuition increase. If it is a scholarship that specifically says it's half tuition or 3/4 tuition, well, then that will increase as tuition changes. Someone asked me in the earlier session if you need to file the FAFSA in order to be eligible for Merit Aid. And the answer is it depends. It varies by school. So some schools will say, we need you to file the FAFSA to qualify for any Merit Aid. Other schools will not. It's always a good question to ask if you don't see it listed on the website. Another question I was asked was, homeschooled students, can they qualify for different types of merit scholarships, private scholarships, institutional merit scholarships, etc.? Yes, absolutely. Homeschool students tend to have exactly the same ability to win those scholarships because colleges recognize there are a lot of homeschooled students out there. And institutional merit aid. Well, you can go to the college websites one by one and find the page that has their scholarship information. Sometimes it's spread across multiple pages. If it's a state school, sometimes there's a page for in-state students, merit scholarships, one for out-of-state students. You often need to do a little bit of digging there. Also, you can find some lists on college-related sites of different types of merit scholarships, especially the full ride and full tuition are often listed out. I talked about how I compiled some of those lists into that full scholarship list that I sell on mykidcollegechoice.com. But the site that I mentioned to you earlier, Meritship List, that is my database of almost 12,000 scholarships across schools across the United States. That has all of those listed in one place. And really the reason for that is you're not always going to know what schools to look for. You're basically going to think, okay, here are 10 or 20 schools. Let me check if they have merit scholarships or how big of merit scholarships do they offer. Well, I wanted to give you the ability to go search and say, I want to see all half tuition scholarships or whatever amount, and find those schools that you may never have considered that have great scholarships that you might qualify for. Lots of parents find some surprises there, good schools that they never would have considered otherwise. So let's talk about the types of merit scholarships. Starting with automatic, and then we'll talk about competitive, talent, and the National Merit, National Achievement Hispanic Recognition Program scholarships. All right, so automatic merit scholarships. These are usually based on GPA and ACT or SAT scores. There are also some automatic scholarships offered just to valedictorians and salutatorians. Often some really good ones. There are some on my full ride list that are automatic if student has proof that they were #1 or maybe #2 in the class. Automatic merit scholarships are not only offered to top students. I will give you statistics in a minute on that. And these scholarships are often shown in a table or a grid on the school's website. We will see an example of that. They may be included in the school's net price calculator. So if you are running net price calculators to see what different schools will expect you to contribute, which I always recommend. Try a variety of different net price calculators. If that school's calculator asks for the student's GPA and ACT or SAT score, that's when you know that they are also considering merit scholarships on that net price calculator. In my database of almost 12,000 scholarships, there are 2,250 that are automatic. So those, that it's a smaller percentage of the total number of scholarships, but those are the guaranteed scholarships, that if you meet the criteria, you get the scholarship. So here's an example from Northern Illinois University of a grid. It's got the ACT and SAT score values along the top, the GPA along the side, and you can basically find your students' values and see what amount. So a 3.75 with a 28 ACT or a 1320 SAT score will qualify for $7,000 per year. And then, of course, this little box up here on the top is full ride territory. So anything falling in, any combination falling in that box is an automatic full ride at Northern Illinois University. And many other schools have similar grids. Here's another example where University of Nebraska has a calculator separate from their net price calculator. This is just a scholarship calculator. More and more schools have gone to this scholarship calculator approach, which I really like. So you put in what your home is so they can figure out if you're in-state or out-of-state, your test score value, your GPA, after a few other questions. Hit submit, and they will tell you what scholarship value you qualify for. And then they give you a couple links here. You might qualify for even more. So this is a great calculator and a good scholarship, merit scholarship program at University of Nebraska. All right, let's talk about merit scholarships. These may or may not require a separate application. The school's website will tell you that, whether they're just considering the student's admission application or whether a separate application is required for the scholarship. Students are selected. That's why these are competitive. The school is going to select the students to receive the scholarship. There may be some type of a competition involved. Some schools have scholarship days or scholarship weekends where they bring the students on campus to compete through a variety of different activities. Those are usually for the really large scholarships. The school may tell you how many scholarships given out for a specific scholarship, or they may not tell you at all and you just have no idea. Is this one student who's going to win this? Is it 50 or what? The amounts for the scholarships may or may not be listed on the school's website. There are quite a number of schools that just don't disclose the amount, tell you what the different scholarships are, but they won't tell you what you're looking at for each one. Out of the 12,000 scholarships, about 8,000 are competitive in my database. So about 2/3 are competitive. This is definitely the largest category out there. I also wanted to mention that all private scholarships are competitive. They're all the case where students are submitting applications and that foundation or business or whatever it is selecting the winners for the scholarship. Oops. All right, let's get to the next page here. A few examples of competitive merit scholarships. Rice University Trustee Distinguished Scholarship. This is a scholarship where the students are automatically considered based on the admission application and they're notified at the time of admission. This is another question that I received. Are students always notified when they get their admission decision what scholarships they have won? Not necessarily. Sometimes these come later. So Your admission decision may come first, then you may be waiting for a financial aid package, which is either need-based aid or merit-based aid or both. Often that comes later in the process. Davidson College in North Carolina has this John M. Belk Scholarship. This is a full ride plus. Great scholarship, but you must be nominated either by your high school or by the Davidson Admission or Financial Aid Office. And you can see here, this is a case where it's more than just grades and test scores. There are other things that come into play. Auburn University. So this is one where they list out different criteria that will result in a different scholarship amount, but this is not an automatic scholarship because on the website it says this is for out-of-state students and they will be considered for scholarships. Anytime I see the words considered for scholarships, I say this is a competitive scholarship because they're not saying this criteria guarantees your student a scholarship. So some good amounts there for that scholarship. All right, and then the next category, talent scholarships. These are awarded based on demonstrated talent in art, music, dance, theater, and some other options. Those are the biggest ones out there. Could be like forensics, creative writing, it's a little bit of everything out there, but most of them fall into these 4 categories. And they usually require an audition or a portfolio submission, depending on what it is. So for art, most likely to be a portfolio. Most of these require the student to major in that area in college, but some of them specifically say you don't have to major in music or art or whatever, get a music scholarship, an art scholarship, etc. Most of these are variable amounts instead of one published amount, but there are some that tell you this is the exact amount. Out of the 12,000 scholarships in the database, about 1,000 are talent scholarships. So it is the smallest category we've seen so far. Couple examples. California Lutheran University gives both freshman and transfer applications in the areas listed scholarships up to $30,000. And it does require an audition. They are renewable, so that's a great scholarship. That's definitely more than half tuition at that school. University of Denver says the School of Music will award scholarships from $1,000 up to full tuition. And you can see here, this one takes into account different things, the talent and the academic merit, and if the student has financial need. So most likely a high combination of three is going to lean toward that full tuition, and whereas they have a lot of latitude there in that 1,000 to full tuition range to offer different students different amounts. Okay, and then the last category, the National Merit, National Achievement, and Hispanic Recognition Scholarships. These are all based on the results of the PSAT and MSQT tests taken junior year. These are offered to finalists, semifinalists, and sometimes even the commended. So it's hard to get into any of those 3 categories, but definitely an option if your student is a great test taker and does well on the PSAT. These usually require the student to list the school as their top choice through the National Merit Competition. The ones that are in my database would be the ones where the school is saying, if you're a finalist or semifinalist, you will get a scholarship from us. Whereas National Merit also has their own scholarship programs. You can go to nationalmerit.org for all the information related to this test and the scholarships and how you get into those categories. I did a post on the Merit Scholarship List blog site. What is a National Merit Scholarship? It talks about 3 different categories of National Merit Scholarships. including those school-sponsored ones. So I just tried to synthesize all that information and make it easy to digest. All right, any questions on the different types of scholarships, or back to the different sources of scholarships? A couple private scholarship questions I received are, do you need to be involved with an organization to win a scholarship from them? No, not necessarily. Usually those are open to any students in the community, not students whose parents happen to be involved in the organization. And then, what are the time frames for winning private scholarships? Is there a specific time of year? Really, private scholarships are offered year-round, have deadlines year-round, but the biggest chunk of them are in the spring. Many in the March to early April deadline categories. That when your students are applying for private scholarships, you really want to take note of those deadlines, keep track of deadlines. I do have a great tool for that on mykidscollegechoice.com. On the resources page, there is a tracker for scholarship applications. You can track the different pieces of the application that are needed for each one and the deadlines. But you could do other things like list everything on a calendar, on a whiteboard, whatever works best for your family. All right. Here's a few national merit examples just to show you the different amounts. So University of Oklahoma, national merit finalists get full ride plus scholarships. La Sierra gives 3 levels come in. 33% of tuition for commended students, half tuition for semifinalists, and full tuition finalists. Florida Gulf Coast gives $10,000 per year for out-of-state students who are national merit achievement or national Hispanic scholars. And then Loyola University in Chicago, a little different because of maybe they have one national merit finalist who applies in a year, or maybe they have 10, but they only give 1 full tuition scholarship. So they are choosing. This is a competitive scholarship. And anybody who doesn't receive that scholarship may get a $2,000 scholarship from Loyola. All right, another question from Rosa. How can we find out if a school lowers the financial aid awarded if a private scholarship is received? Is there anything we can do to avoid getting the financial aid lowered? There's not really anything you can do, Rosa, so you have to check with each individual school. Some schools have policies that they will lower anything they give based on what you get in outside or private scholarship money. Just make sure you know each school's policy. If you don't find it, some are very good at advertising that. Just got a brochure today from Davidson College, and it was right in the brochure that, yes, we're going to lower what we give you if you get outside money. We're going to take that off the top. But it's really, each has their own policy, so there's really not a way around it because you need to just them any private scholarships that are being awarded to your student. All right, let's talk about increasing your students' chances of being awarded merit aid. For any of the sources I talked about, you want to determine if your student has a good hook for merit aid. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute. Is your student in the top 5% of applicants? I'll talk about that a little more too. Can your student write a good essay or personal statement? Make sure that they can, that they know what's needed, understand what's being looked for. There are some good sources I'll talk about here for that. Following directions is extremely important. The right number of words, don't go over the maximum number of words for an essay. Fill out all sections, answer the right question in the essay, all of that sort of thing. And then proofreading, making sure that there are no mistakes. So professional coaching. 2 sources I would refer you to. One is called the scholarship system. This is a whole online course around winning scholarships, specifically aimed at private scholarships, but all of the techniques and tips and tools can be applied to school-sponsored scholarships as well. This is Jocelyn Panetta Pearson is the name of the lady who runs this site. I have been through the scholarship system program. I think it's a lot of really good information. I'll give you a couple links because she does have some free tools as well as her paid program. And then College Essay. This is a great site as well. The College Essay Guy knows a lot about writing essays, filling out applications, and he teaches that on his site. He also has paid training, but he does have some free information that's great as well, and I will refer you there on an upcoming slide. So let's talk about the merit hook. This is really the term I give it to. What does your student have that's going to qualify him or her for merit scholarships? Obvious ones would be GPA and ACT or ST score. In the GPA category, 3.0 is good for scholarships, 3.5 is better. And then with the test scores above the school's mid 50% range, best. What talents does your student have? Evaluate that. Evaluate leadership experience. What great leadership experience does your student have? What else? Community service, ethnicity. There are scholarships based on that. Scholarships based on religion, on race, on geographic location, and sometimes on legacy. So if it's just a legacy scholarship where it says any student whose parent or grandparent went to school here is qualified for a scholarship, I don't consider that a merit scholarship, but there are some where they'll take the pool of legacy students and offer them a scholarship on their merits. So that's why that's on the list. This next slide is really just a graphic of how frequent or how likely these different areas are to contribute toward merit scholarships. The bigger circles mean those things are much more valuable. You know, more scholarships would apply to those things. The smaller circles, less scholarships that are going to look at those areas. Have your students start an activity resume. This is going to be useful both for filling out college applications and for scholarship applications. There may be some scholarships where you just take a copy of this resume and attach it as part of the application. Other ones, you're just going to take the information off. But the earlier you start it, the better. You're less likely to forget things or to get to senior year and say, all right, let's think, what was I in freshman year? Just a good idea to keep it as a running document as you go along. Work experience, paid and unpaid, should be on there. School activities, any types, sports clubs, whatever it is. Honors and awards earned both in school and outside of school. Community activities, community service experiences, anything else that seems to fit in with those categories or is, you know, maybe a little different, but could be notable. I do have a template. Go to mykidscollegechoice.com/resources. There's an activity resume template on there. It's a Microsoft Word template, easy to fill out. That way you wouldn't be starting from scratch. Just go ahead and download that. So what if you looked at the information about a hook and it's just not looking like your student has a good merit hook? Well, first, don't assume a less than stellar ACT, SAT, or GPA won't be worth merit money. Check into it first. So here this referred to earlier. Of the automatic and competitive scholarships in my database that do require a minimum GPA and or test score, 882 of them require an ACT of 22 or less. 374 require an SAT of 1,000 or less, and 577 require a GPA below 3.0. Now there may be a large number in there. In fact, I know there is, where they are not tied to specific minimum GPAs or test scores. So these are just of the ones that are, here are some of the values, lower values. So it's not all about top scores or the top GPAs. All right, I talked about this already, that you can look at the school's mid 50% ranges for ACT and SAT and GPA, and if your student is above that mid 50%, that's going to greatly increase his or her chances of getting merit scholarships from that. So when you're looking specifically at institutional aid, merit aid, how do you increase chances? Two ways. Find those generous schools that are out there, and also find schools that offer the best listed scholarships, meaning they're telling you these great scholarship amounts that we are offering. Because to me, it's all about seeing the money. So you want to know who is getting merit aid and how much. The statistics you want to see are the overall percentage of students receiving merit-based aid, the percent of students without need who are receiving merit-based aid, and the average amount of merit aid received by those students. How do you find that information? Well, there are two free data sources I would refer you to. Of these two, collegedata.com is the better one, because collegedata.com gives you merit aid statistics both for students with need and without need. It will also tell you, if you look at a specific school, what the mid 50% ACT and SAT ranges are, so you can see if your student is above that mid 50%. But you can't search by that, just to only see schools where your student is above mid 50%. College Navigator, you can download information, and that the download that you, once you search for schools, you can take those search results and download that. It does give you the net price in the download, but there isn't a lot of other helpful information in that download. This does not have separate statistics for merit aid. It just tells you overall aid. So it could be need-based, could be merit. It just kind of leaves you guessing on that. So you know which schools are generous, but you don't know specifically, are they giving merit aid to students who don't have need? This also provides you the mid 50% ACT and SAT ranges at the individual school level, but it's not a field that you can download and sort and search. So because of the limitations of these two sites, my recommendation is a spreadsheet that my friend Michelle Kretschmar of DIY College Rankings has created. So this one takes all the available data, puts it into one spreadsheet. It has merit-based aid data, the mid 50% test scores, average GPA, school size, retention rate, graduation rate, acceptance rates. Well, actually, it has a ton more information than that. And this is an awesome spreadsheet. I really wished I had this for my oldest daughter because it would have saved a lot of time. This is just a little snapshot. It lists out all the colleges and then the fields that I wanted to out of the ton of different fields that are out here. It will tell you the percentage of freshmen without need, the percentage of freshmen without need who are receiving merit aid, the percentage of undergraduates without need. So looking at it more on the 4-year level instead of the first year, same thing with percentage of undergraduates without need receiving merit aid. And then here's the average merit award for freshmen without need, and the same thing for overall undergraduates. So my preference in using this spreadsheet is to go find the field that's also on here that has the mid 50% ACT or SAT ranges, and filter that down so that my student's ACT score is above that range. So if my student has a 29, I might filter like ranges of 22 to 28. And then I'd get this smaller listing of schools, and then I would come over to one of these fields, most likely the percentage of freshmen without need receiving merit aid, and I would sort that starting at the highest number so that I could see the 100%. There are quite a number of schools that are at 100%. So that would tell me, here's some schools where my student's going to fall above the mid 50% range, and these schools give a very high percentage of merit aid to students without need. So that is how I would use this spreadsheet. It is a tremendous time saver because you don't have to go hunting around on different sites, and you can use it as your working spreadsheet throughout the college search process. You can take rows out, create a copy off the master spreadsheet and then start removing rows for schools that you're not interested in and leave that list of schools that you are interested in. So this sheet is available for $42. I think that's extremely reasonable given the amount of time savings and just the help that it will give you in the process. I will send a link in the follow-up email. I think I also have a short link listed at the end. It allows you to find schools that statistically meet your needs and keep all that information handy, like I said, throughout the process. Michelle and I are fits for each other, so we both work pretty closely together and recommend each other's products because we believe in each other's products. So that's why when I provide you the link, it's an affiliate link. That means I get a very small commission on that $42, but it also tells Michelle that you're coming to her site from my webinar so that she knows where she's getting that sale. How do you find listed merit scholarships? Well, you could look those schools up. So narrow in on the schools that you're interested in based on what I showed you with Michelle's spreadsheet. Then look those up, look on their websites, find those merit scholarships. But there will also be other schools that offer great scholarships. Maybe they didn't come up in those statistics because statistically they're not the most generous, but they have great scholarships that your students qualify for. How do you find those? Easiest way would be through my meritscholarship.com site that we talked about, which is a kind of that one-stop shop for finding merit scholarships offered by colleges around the U.S. All right, so I'm going to go through some of the free tools here, and then I would like to take just a couple minutes more to show you what the Merit Scholarship List site looks like. But before I do that, let's talk about the tools. We saw the NASFA site. Was the one with the states listed and their financial aid programs. Definitely check that out. Check out what's available in your home state. College Data and College Navigator, we talked about those being free college search sites that you can use. I referred to the scholarship system. Now here are the two free guides. So I've created short links to get you to these two free guides. There's a writing guide. That's like a 3-pager with some really dynamite tips for your an application essay or a scholarship essay. And then also there's a free webinar that goes through the basics on finding those merit scholarships. Now, it's not going to give you that end-to-end system, but I've seen the webinar, and there are definitely lots of helpful tips that you can use for free. College Essay Guide, we talked about that site, and he's got really great things available. A free guide to the Common App personal statement. So if your student is applying to schools that use the Common App, and the Common App allows your student to fill out the application once and send it to different schools, although each school may have its own section in there, this guide will help them through that personal statement that's required for the Common App. And then also he's got a webinar. It's like a video. It's actually on YouTube. So it was a live webinar at one point. Now it's a video you can go out and watch. And it is going to teach how to create an amazing college app in less time and how to finish that college app over the summer. So really helping your student get a jump start on the college app before fall vacation season sets in. All right, and then just some additional tools that we talked about that are low cost. I think they're well worth it based on what you get. We talked about the spreadsheet, Michelle's spreadsheet, $42, and you get free updates for 1 year. Here's the short list, short link. Go to mykidscollegechoice.com/DIY, and that'll take you to her page to purchase that. We talked about the meritsscholarshiplist.com site. That's my site with about 12,000 scholarships listed out from schools around the country. You can purchase it two ways, $20 a month on an auto renew program. You cancel when you no longer need it, or you can get it for 1 year for $75. One question that I was asked is, do you need to wait till the student senior to use that site? Generally, the scholarships that the schools offer do not vary that much from year to year. So there's no reason why you can't go out and start exploring scholarships when you're still a junior. I would say fall of junior year is a great time to go out and start looking and pick out some schools to offer some great scholarships and keep those on the list. You can always go back and look fall of senior year to make sure that those scholarships are still the same amount they were showing when you originally looked, or that those scholarships are still offered. But like I said, not a lot of changes from year to year on those entries. I do go out twice a year to update all the scholarships, so I see all the changes. The scholarship system, we talked about the full online course for learning all about scholarships. You can start that course for $1. That's kind of her introductory program, and then at some point, when you get in, it lets you know that it's time to pay the full price. But any information you can get out of it for $1 is very good information. But now the college essay guy with his full online courses, he offers those for $297, or he has a pay what you can program. This is a really interesting program because he has a form that the student fills out, and they basically explain why they should be given a price break and what they can pay. And then he will select students to provide them with that course at a lower price, at whatever they said they could pay. So it's really about making a convincing argument. But again, great information, very, very helpful site, very knowledgeable guy. All right, so one quick look at meritsscholarshiplist.com for you, and then we will, I'll take any last questions and we can wrap up the webinar. All right, here we go. This one's loading a little slow tonight too. The time of the night here when everyone in my area is on the internet, so taking a little while. Well, so this is it's a subscription-based site. So once you sign up, you have a login. You log in and then you go to the search section. You can search by the school name. Just if you want to do a quick search, give me all the scholarships that University of Nebraska has. I can just type in the name. I can search by the different types of talent, national merit achievement. I can search by the scholarship value or by the scholarships that have minimum requirements. Again, we talked about not all scholarships have minimum requirements. I don't think you can see my screen. There we go. All right, what I would say is you want to spend an hour, put aside an hour, go out. My recommendation is to search scholarship value. The topics on here are half tuition and more, up to full tuition and more, and up to full ride and more. Those are exclusive categories. The same ones aren't going to be, the full rides and the full tuitions will not be on the half tuition list. The half tuition list is only up to full tuition amount. So let's say I want to start there. I can select 5 states at a time. So I'm going to search out west. We'll go and we'll throw Montana in there. All right, so I've selected 5 states, hit the search. I'm going to see all scholarships of any type that are half tuition and more. So let's see, I have 77 that are half tuition up to, but not including full tuition. So I might not want all of them. I might want to just see what can I get automatically that's not going to require applying and competing. So I can filter. I hit the by scholarship type, I go to automatic, I hit the filter button, and that should lower my numbers substantially. Now I have 18 scholarships that are applicable. So this would be anything at or up to, including half tuition amounts. It tells me the schools. I can go look at the criteria by clicking this link, and it will take me to a whole page that tells me more information on the school and on the scholarship. Here's a link to go jump onto the school site to see all of the details, but it tells me here this one is automatic, 22,000. Here are the criteria. Sometimes you'll see the same scholarship listed more than once, and that's because there are going to be definitions of criteria. So if I was searching by this criteria, it would pick up the correct one. It tells me the school information, mid 50% scores, total cost of attendance, both in-state and out-of-state. This one is a private school, so those numbers are going to be the same. Freshman retention rate, how many students are accepted, where does it rank on some different lists, and then some income-based statistics. Not all schools report all of this, so the only thing I can see on this one is the average net price for students awarded any kind of grant or scholarship aid directly from the school. So that's really what you can search for out here. You can save your check result, or you can check your results off the checkbox and then save them, and then go back to your saved scholarships. Like I said, I would recommend spend an hour, find a bunch of scholarships, save those, put them on the list, and then go dig into those schools more to see if they're schools that your student would be interested in. Okay, so we are about at the end here. Please let me know if you have any last questions tonight. Definitely thank you for joining. We got through all the materials. It's recorded this time, so that is awesome. As an attendee, you will get the recording and you will get the information that has all the links, so you can actually click on those links and go right to those sites. All right, I already mentioned about the recording and the links. for both the paid products and the free products that we look at. Please use the affiliate links so that the different sites know where their traffic is coming from. Thank you, Buddy, for attending tonight. And thank you all with me tonight. I hope the information was valuable. If at any time you have questions, I'm always happy to answer questions. Just email me, Wendy@mykidscollegechoice.com, and I hope to talk to you soon.